Strixhaven, Innistrad, and even a little bit of tragedy. Today's Magic News has a taste of everything. Greetings, owners of fine luxury cardboard rectangles. We are here for another installment of Mega Magic News. We got a number of different subjects to talk about, some exciting and one of them disappointing, a bit of a tragedy. So we'll save that, I suppose, for last. Let's get the most exciting stuff out of the way first. We've got info on both Strixhaven and the upcoming Innistrad sets. Now, admittedly, these are more news snippets than really in-depth news chunks, but regardless, there's definitely enough to talk about. So let us start out with Strixhaven. Some more details have emerged about Strixhaven. One of them is when the spoiler season starts. So, spoiler season for Strixhaven will actually be starting on the 25th of March. So, 1 week from today, essentially, unless, of course, there are leaks. Come on, baby, Daddy loves his leaks. I like getting to see cards early, but whatever. Either way, in a week, we're going to start having Strixhaven flowing steady and strong, leading up to the actual pre-release and all of that goodness. Now, a few details, just enough to tease you, have come out. We know the name of the plane now, and that's Arcavios. Arcavios or Arcavios? Honestly, I gotta say, hearing the name of the plane, Arcavios, there was people who talked about in the past how Wizards of the Coast was planning on doing like a Harry Potter kind of crossover for this set, and that it kind of got scrapped at the last minute. And I have to admit, it kind of does feel like Strixhaven really was going to be a Harry Potter crossover style set, a la the Ikoria Godzilla or the Universe Beyond stuff that we've been hearing about, you know? It really does have that vibe. The Arcavios sounds like a Harry Potter spell name. It also just honestly does sound like a good name for a plane that is defined by its wizard school and that sort of thing, like the Mystic Archive, the giant library they have of magical spells. I am curious to know how much of a presence this school has on the plane. Is it a hidden school that the majority of the plane's residents aren't really familiar with? Or is it a well-known and respected institution that people try and get their children into? Is it like almost like a high-level university or high school, depending on the vibe? I'm not really sure if it's supposed to be a university or a high school. I guess it's probably aiming towards a little bit younger, especially if it was going to somehow tie into Harry Potter. But if you read the documentation that came along describing the different colleges as like the goth kids or the theater kids, it does give that kind of a vibe. So I'm actually thinking it's probably more along the teenager sort of setup. Now, there has been some artwork released. It is a little bit weird looking, but looking at the artwork overall, it did give a couple of interesting snippets. The schools of Strixhaven, it's divided into 5 different colleges, right? Now, it appears that one of them is in a gigantic, massive tree. And I mean, I like that as a concept. And then another one is a base that looks like it's literally like a flame. There are fires dancing across it and everything like that. So that looks pretty cool. Now, we don't have anything other than that one piece of art they released that is kind of, I don't know if it's just meant to evoke the flavor of the colleges or whether it's actually going to be the homes they reside in. But I will admit, like the idea of a bunch of mage students residing in like a dormitory college that is a massive tree is a really cool concept to me. And obviously, I believe that would that be the green-black one? Most likely? I don't know. I don't know exactly how it's going to break down. On another note, there is one college that has dragon horns in multiple places. And so it kind of makes me think that the school, like they might actually be saying, like these schools are supposed to be founded by elder dragons. And I really hope they actually mean different elder dragons, because I really don't want to find out that there is a school that's been founded by Nicol Bolas and the other dragons, and it's just never come up in the entire history of Magic, where it's just like, okay, so he created this school, and it deifies him in a degree, but it's never used. So there is a little bit of, I've got like excitement, a bunch of excitement for Strixhaven, but also a little bit of trepidation as to the execution. Regardless though, let us move on. We've talked about Strixhaven, so let's talk next about Innistrad, because this honestly is something that is brand new and has never been done in Magic. Now, I don't mean that about the plane of Innistrad, and I will mention actually as a side note on the whole Strixhaven thing, I'm really excited that we're going to a new plane. Going to new planes for me is one of the absolute most exciting things about Magic the Gathering, because I'm old school, right? I remember when we didn't even have Planeswalker cards, and the idea is that we're the beefy Planeswalkers wandering around exploring the multiverse and checking out all these different worlds. So I absolutely love getting to explore a new world. Now, Innistrad obviously is a return to a world we've been to for a number of visits, right? But this case is going to be different in a couple of ways. It's basically what this centers around is Wizards is trying to address a problem that they have always faced. And they're doing that by actually splitting Innistrad up, not really splitting up actually, making 2 Innistrad sets at once, essentially, within the same time frame. Normally, we have the major releases on a very set schedule. So under normal circumstances, we would be getting 1 Innistrad set at the end of the year. But Wizards of the Coast has decided to double down on that and give us 2 Innistrad sets. Now, I can understand why they're doing that, because the previous system was somewhat unbalanced in that not every set gets an equal amount of time in the sunshine as the new set. And one of the easiest ways to notice this is if you're a Magic Arena player, you will have noticed that the seasons have a different length. So if you're doing like the Mastery Pass or whatever, sometimes it goes up to level 80, sometimes it goes up to level 90, and sometimes it goes up to level 130, right? So you have this massive disparity. And the reason for that is the year-end set would have the longest gap between it and the next standard set getting released. Now, obviously, with the way they do things now and Wizards releasing a lot more products, it's not really a gap with nothing coming out, but in terms of strictly standard releases, there would only ever be the one set at the end of the year, and it would have a huge season much bigger than the other. So now Innistrad is going to be released in 2 separate sets, and they're going to be released at 2 staggered times to kind of fill that entire gap with 2 sets. And the reason for that is, I mean, obviously, it allows Wizards to print and sell more cards, but on top of that, as Magic players, we tend to be very future-focused, hype-oriented, want the newness now, now, now. You will see that. Strixhaven spoilers are about to start next week. As soon as the Strixhaven spoilers are done, before Strixhaven even fully releases, people will be wildly speculating and trying to figure out what's coming out in the next set. So having a huge gap like that when your customer base is like more, isn't the wisest choice. So honestly, this is an interesting experiment. So here's how it's going to work. On September 17th, we're going to get Midnight Hunt. This is going to be a werewolf, maybe wolf as well, style themed Innistrad set with a focus on them. And then November 19th is when we get the second step. Normally, we would have had to wait until the end of January for the next set, which is a huge gap, right? So November 19th, we're going to end up getting Crimson Vow. And Crimson Vow is going to be a vampire-focused Innistrad version. So I don't know how this is all going to tie together flavor-wise. In all honesty, it kind of feels like a mini block concept. If you're not familiar with how the blocks worked back in the day, we used to get big set, 2 small sets, and then they changed it to big set, small set, and then they changed it to, we're going to do whatever we want. And in all honesty, I prefer that. I like the idea of them having the freedom to just do a one-off on a world, or if it feels like it's necessary or is going to be beneficial for the story or whatever, they can choose to extend it out to a number of different sets in one block. So to me, I'm considering this Innistrad release as like a mini condensed block with 2 somewhat smaller sets. Because as far as I understand, these sets won't be full-sized releases. They'll be somewhat scaled down, but not by a large degree. So I am genuinely interested to see how all this is going to play out. Now that covers the excitement aspect of what we're here to talk about. Now, I want to take a moment to talk about a tragedy. Now, thankfully, this tragedy is going to be remedied, so don't let it bum you out too much if you're somebody who cares about this. But if you are a fan of the website mtgpics like I am, you will know that the site is actually gone. It just, boom, there was a problem where apparently there was a server fire. And I guess actually before I even cover that, just so you know, if anybody out there is aspiring to create Magic content, mtgpics, when they get it back up and running, I absolutely love using their images. Sometimes when you go to get Magic card images, you'll have the card, but then you'll have 4 little white corners that stick up and you have to figure out a way to edit them out, either by editing the image in like a paint program or setting filters in your editor, whatever it is you have to do, it creates additional work. On top of that, mtgpics not only has all the different printings of the cards available in terms of the actual pictures of the cards, they also have a great collection of high resolution Magic artwork. Honestly, it's my go-to site when it comes to creating videos for my card images for this channel. And over on Fantasy Geographic, mtgpics is what's used for the images on there. Now, not on the last video I released. If you didn't know, I put out a new lore video yesterday on Fantasy Geographic talking about the horrific origin of Thalids. If you didn't know, Thalids actually come from a really dark place. I didn't know this until a few days ago, and it's really interesting. So I made a little snippet lore video over on the Fantasy Geographic video covering that. Carly was actually the one who discovered the mtgpics website in the first place. But regardless, they had a disaster. Their site has come down. There was some sort of server fire. And actually, I have an announcement here from them stating what happened. So it says, "Dear visitor, following a fire in France, in the France data center, mtgpics.com server is inaccessible. Here's what we can tell you right now. The server apparently didn't burn." Oh, that's good. Not sure about the backups though. Anyway, the power was cut and we can't retrieve the data until everything gets back online, which should be around March 22nd. Oh, excellent. So it's only gonna be like another 5 days, because this happened however many days ago, and honestly, it has been troublesome, at least for me. So in the meantime, we're trying to get new hardware to get the website back from a January backup, but given the situation, it's a bit like shopping the last day before Christmas. So the website won't be accessible for a few days, maybe a week. In the worst case scenario, server and backups in different buildings somehow destroyed, we will lose 1.5 months of data, but the website will definitely get back at some point. Thank you for your understanding. We hope to welcome you soon. And as a famous German philosopher once wrote, "What doesn't kill you makes you reassess your backup strategy." I found that to be a cute little joke there at the end. Now, I very much love mtgpics, pics, I should say. I wish them well. I hope their website is up soon, because for me, it's a very valuable resource. And like I said, if you're looking at content creation, take a look at that website when it comes back up, because it is actually very useful. And I will just reiterate as well, go watch that lore video on Fantasy Geographic. It's a good time. That channel, literally all it has on it is old school Magic lore. Some stuff you really have a hard time finding anywhere. So other than that, I want to mention that we're going to have a very fun live stream tonight. I'm going to be opening some packs of Time Spiral Remastered. I also have received multiple packages in the mail. There are 3 big boxes out in the other room that will be cracking in the live stream. If you watched my other Time Spiral live stream that I recently did, you may be thinking, oh, you know what, I'll come on out to the live stream, but just to let you know, it's an after hours live stream, so it uses after hours language, I'll put it that way. So you definitely don't want to turn up to that live stream with your kids or around anybody who doesn't like, I'll say, colorful language. If you don't like colorful language, you're probably going to want to skip the live stream. But if you're all right with that, then come on out, because it's going to be a very good time. So other than that, not really much left to say. Thanks for coming by, my friends. I'll have a scroll, I should say, of the names of all my patrons scrolling on by. If you appreciate what I'm doing here and want to support it, jumping on my Patreon is the best way. And obviously, I mean, it's bragging rights. You get I never know which side it's scrolling on. That's how unprofessional I am. But you get to have your name scrolling by me, and look, I'm a fancy boy today. Don't you want your name to scroll on by a fancy boy? Of course you do, because you love fancy boys. All right, that's enough nonsense. I'm going to head on out. See those of you who choose to attend in the live stream tonight, and the rest of you, my friends, I will see you, or you will see me, in the next video. Goodbye for now.